Hello and welcome back to Red 5 Scale Models. This is a little bit of a different video than usual. I say usual, but I've not really done many. But anyway, the Tank Museum recently did a series of videos about how or why people took up scale modelling as a hobby. And this got me thinking. There are numerous reasons people get into this great hobby. They might have done it as a kid, or had family members or friends already doing it. Or they might have an interest in a genre, like World War II or sci-fi, and it branched off from there. Or they may do it to help take away the stresses of everyday life. Well, for me, it was a combination of all those things. My dad used to make me 1 to 72nd scale Spitfires and Phantoms, which I hung on my ceiling, and it led me to make them as a child, taking a lot of joy blowing them up and setting them alight in the garden during epic recreations of the Normandy landings, featuring allied super weapons such as Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters. I've also pretty much always had a keen interest in all things military, and had a granddad who served in World War II, who was a captured prisoner of war on Crete, and hearing tales of dare and do in Commando comics and in just some of my favourite movies ever, it just seemed like a natural progression to act them out myself in miniature. But as my teenage years hit and things like hobbies or interests that weren't football, Ben Sherman shirts, or getting tipsy on cheap cider that some older bloke bought you, which, thinking back now, was a major red flag, well, they were frowned upon by the quote-unquote cool kids, and I basically just left the hobby behind. That was until recently. In 2016, we welcomed our beautiful daughter into the world. She was one of the most beautiful things I think I've ever seen. There were tears and nappy changes, and that was just me. But in the first 2 weeks, we were asked to attend a checkup at a hospital, mainly just to check on a little murmur on her heart, and it was nothing really to worry about. But they said it would be best to get checked out. So, blissfully unaware, we went into hospital as new parents, kind of half asleep. If you've been a new parent, you understand. Just to get the scan and kind of put it to bed. But the doctor there did his checks and recommended that we go to another local hospital to get a better scan, make sure that there was no major issues. So again, head in the clouds, blissfully unaware, we set off. And then it kind of started sinking home. When we got there was a whole host of nurses and doctors waiting at the door. Why were we being whisked past patients straight for a scan? Who the hell are all these people? Who are the surgeons, doctor? What's going on? It was routine. We're doing what? And then basically they dropped the bombshell and told her the news that really no parents really want to hear. You have a very poorly baby. You won't be going home today. Well, to say it was unexpected is an understatement. And it absolutely floored everyone in the family, everyone concerned. They shuffled us off into a private waiting room, obviously not knowing what the hell was going on. It was all a whirlwind, and they did more scans, and they came through about an hour later and told her that unless they did something there and then, well, it needed to happen. And it transpired that she had what they call a coarctation of her aorta, which is a narrowing of the artery to the point that basically any zero blood was flowing to her lower body, and if they didn't kind of fix it then, yeah. So at 10 o'clock that night, bearing in mind we went into the clinic at 5 o'clock, and she was 2 weeks old, she had her first operation. We were absolutely just lost. We had no idea what was happening, what was going to happen in the future. Doctors predicting months in hospital. We had no idea. But thankfully and remarkably, she recovered, and within a week we basically were home. But obviously follow-up checks and things like that happened, and we were told at around about 4 months that unfortunately there were further growths around the valve that could cause complications, and that they needed to do full open heart surgery. So again, we took her in and went through the mill, this time with full open heart surgery. and 7 or 8 hours worth of operation on a 4-month-old child with a heart the size of pretty much a Satsuma. Again, everything was just strained. Relationships, everything. We had no idea what to do, how to cope, what was going on, but we got through, and more importantly, so did she. And she continues on the road to being amazing and funny and beautiful little girl. But after we went through the mill, both me and my wife were just absolutely shot, physically and basically emotionally, mentally. The constant what ifs. What if she has to go back in? What happens if this gets worse? What? And I just couldn't take my mind off it. Every day and night, basically waiting to be told bad news. Every hospital appointment we went into, expecting them to say she needs another operation, she needs this, she needs that. But it was tough. Granted, not anywhere near as tough as some of the kids that we saw when we were in hospital, and some of the families having to battle through it. But it was tough. So anyway, I forget why, but I was in Hobbycraft and I spotted a Tamiya Panzer IV, and I thought, you know what, I did that as a kid. I really enjoyed that. I'm sick of playing computer games. I'm sick of watching TV. There's nothing that I can use to switch off. I'll just give it a go. And I did. I bought a Panzer IV, a pot of the squirty Humbrol crap glue. I think I used a Stanley knife to cut the sprues. No primer. Basically, Panzer Grey all over it. It looked like arse, but it helped. It really helped take my mind off things. And I thought, I wonder how I can do that better. I wonder how I can get on and do rust. I wonder how I can do panel fading, panel lines. And it kind of spiraled from there. And I'll admit now, it's got completely out of hand. But at the time, it really helped take my mind off something that was incredibly hard for everyone to get through. But what's your point, you might ask? Well, the thing is, it wasn't just us. It wasn't just my family. It wasn't just me or my wife dealing with the stress and the heartbreak. While we were in hospital, it was countless other children and countless other families. It was so many other children going through the same thing and more. The emotional roller coaster of being so utterly helpless, watching your kids just lie there and not being able to do anything as a parent. It's just devastating. But the ever-present, the thing that was always there, the thing that was always constant, were the frankly amazing doctors and nurses at the Freeman Hospital in Newcastle. And backing those guys up is a charity called CHUF, the Children's Heart Unit Fund. They're a charity, they're based in Newcastle, but they help families from all over the UK. While we were in, there was people from the Midlands, people from Scotland being airlifted in, blue lighted via air ambulance, straight in. We can't thank these guys enough for what they've done for our family. CHUF are there basically to help provide life-saving equipment, but not only that, they supply things like wash kits to families when they are dropped in the situation like we were. We didn't have a stitch on us, we had the clothes on our back, but people might be from Birmingham, so they'll help supply them sanitary products, they'll help supply food, they'll help give kids Christmas gifts on the wards when they don't know if Santa Claus is going to find them. They're just amazing, absolutely amazing. So I've done a couple of things like Great North Run and things like that, but COVID and the fact that COVID and my COVID belly says, nah, you ain't going running anytime soon, pal. So I thought, how can I give back? And then I thought, well, why not take the hobby that I, let's say, acquired from this heartache and use it somehow? And so it's with absolute pleasure that I'll announce from the 12th of April until the 31st of May, I'm going to run the KITOFF4CHUF, and I would really like as many people as they can to help raise some money for such an amazing cause. There's prizes to be won. First prize will win a £50 kit of your choosing. Second and third prize, if we get any donations, they'll win prizes. If we get loads of donations, you might get a big stash, you might get a big booty. If you want to donate those to anyone else, any other charities, do what the hell you like with it. But it's a fun competition. There's a few rules, mainly just to keep it fair and keep it a bit more fun. Basically, it's £10 to enter. There's a link in my Twitter bio, so if you find me at Red5Models on Twitter, there's a link to Just Giving there, so it's all perfectly legit. Every penny that you donate goes straight to the charity via Just Giving. Do it. Put your Twitter handle in the comments on Just Giving, so I know I can add you to the list. And the rules are basically this: you can choose any kit you like to the value of £20, £20 max. You can only have one kit per entry. You can't use any diorama bases, any extras like additional PE, additional resin parts, additional figures that aren't in the box. Decals, if it ain't in the box, you can't use them. You can use your own paints and weathering processes and everything else that you would normally use, mud and things like that, but try not to go and add things like tarpaulins, stowage, extra figures. So be clever with what you buy, basically. You can't use things like try and be a smart arse and use things like the box to make stuff. No, build it as the kit intends. It's a bit of fun. If you're building aircraft, there must be 1 to 48 scale. And if you're building anything like tanks, trucks, cars, IFVs, there must be 1 to 35 scale. But there's more. They must all be within the genre of World War II, 1939 to 1945. Now that can be military or civilian, but it must have a link to World War II, because let's face it, that's what got me into this hobby. And basically, I'm going to get an independent panel of, well, hopefully get an independent panel of judges, 2 or 3 guys from a local model club, which I'm not affiliated with, to do some judging via online, and we'll announce the results in early June time. So you've got from the 12th of April until the 31st of May. Unfortunately, because of shipping, and I'm kind of doing this myself, the competition aspect, i.e. you can win a prize, is really only for UK and Ireland residents. But we will have an international prize where you can get the kudos of being one of the best international entries. So please do enter. Find me on Twitter at Red5Models. And just remember that every fingerprint on a fresh paint job, any scratch on a canopy, every cracked decal, every drill bit through a finger, which I'm renowned for, everything that you do will help raise money for an absolute amazing cause. So join us. The hashtag is #KITOFF4CHUF. And thank you so much for your time. And as always, you can find us on Twitter at Red5Models. Thanks again. Bye bye.